seat, light it up, let's unwind. Kevin and Kerr bringing topics of all kinds, from cigars to sports, family and more. Everyday stories you'll want to explore. So take a puff or ponder away. Join the talk, it's the highlight of your day. Puff and ponder where the sparks ignite. Conversations blazing day or night. Tune in now, let the stories take flight. It's the Puff and Ponder podcast, where we get it right. From fast cars to last night's game, family laughs or today's big name. We've got the topics, we've got the vibe. Stay tuned in and enjoy the ride. So lean back, relax, take a break. Kevin and Kerr got the chat you'll appreciate. Puff and Ponder, the show that's great, where conversations ignite. Don't hesitate. So lean back, relax, take a break. Kevin and Kerr got the chat you'll appreciate. Puff and Ponder, the show that's great, where conversations ignite. Don't hesitate. Oh, hesitate.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Puff and Ponder podcast, where conversations ignite. I'm your host, Kevin Shahan, and joining me as always, my co-host, Kerr Viajante.
What's up, Kev?
What's going on, Kerr? How's it going, man?
It's going, man. You know, day by day, brother, day by day.
Day by day. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo to you as well. Did you celebrate with any type of foods, drinks, any type of Cinco de Mayo-ish foods?
We had taco salads for dinner and a couple of margaritas. I felt like that was the most maybe white thing that we could have done for a Cinco de Mayo, I guess.
Taco salad and margaritas is pretty white. So how was the taco salad?
Taco salads are always great, you know, so you can never go wrong with a good taco salad.
Was it a regular margarita or a frozen margarita?
Regular. I don't do frozen. I mean, maybe like in the middle of the summertime, you're at at the beach, like a tiki bar, then I'll do a frozen. But if I'm anywhere else, it's on the rocks, no fucking salt. Jessica, I used to hate having a rim as a bartender, rim salt. I'm like, why just... Then people they want like a premium margarita with top shelf tequila, and then you're like, oh, you're just gonna throw some salt on there. Yeah, it makes sense.
So did you get your top shelf tequila and salt?
We had mezcal, so
you're gonna need a lot of salt then.
Yeah, I took a couple sips, maybe less than half the drink, and then I gave it to Jessica, and made myself a Bacardi and diet. So, what about you?
No.
Yeah.
No, it reminds me of the song Cabo Wabo from Van Halen from the OU812 when he sings, "You drink mezcal straight from the bottle where the Mauve worm is just mine, oh mine." And I was like, I remember the mezcal, I remember the worm in college, and it is just.
I remember I was a Cuervo kid way back. But when I was 21, I mean they didn't have the tequilas that they had now. Like Patron, I think was just becoming a thing, but you didn't have good tequilas. I mean if there were, they weren't known. Maybe in a really fancy bar, but you couldn't go to a liquor store and get a good. A good tequila.
It was 3 levels of tequila. It was Jose Cuervo, right? That was the tequila that was the high-end tequila. At least, like I said, when I was around 21. And then it was Monta Alba, which was the mezcal, which everyone always wanted to get because it had a worm in it, but it tasted like someone threw a freaking charcoal briquette in the bottle along with that worm. And then if you got the freaking, there was always that bottom shelf liquor that we'd always go to the liquor store and we'd laugh because we'd pick the bottles up and drop them because they were plastic and they bounced. Like you had Vladimir vodka, and there was like a Juan freaking something or other Cortez tequila, which was like that was basically if you were running low on gas, you put that in your gas tank. So that was the third tier tequila. That was the mixer stuff. So whenever you wanted mixer or you made like a big thing of jungle juice, you just went to that bottom row. It was like $7 for a big freaking gallon. And if you walked outside and you dropped everything, nothing's going to shatter or break because everything was plastic. It would just bounce around.
Yeah, but Bacardi, I don't know. Every now and then they put their bottles in plastic bottles versus glass, and I don't like the plastic. I like the glass bottles.
No.
Glass is actually recyclable, or plastic isn't. We're not going to get on that. But I don't know. I just don't want too much plastic. I'm trying to get microplastics out of my life. What are you lighting up there, Kerr?
In honor of my father, I'm smoking a Big Tony Toro this evening. There you go, Paul.
Right on. I'm actually enjoying my very first. It's not the very first, but it's the H. Upman, the banker. Used to be a great cigar. Man. Like I said, I ran into so many. I had like 6 bad ones, and I saw this in there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it one more shot before I never smoke this cigar again. And it's performing flawlessly.
Good.
Flawlessly.
Yeah.
When someone gave me the rare sought after Forbidden X when I was at the restaurant that has a smoking room. Ooh, a Forbidden X.
Forbidden X.
So yeah. Fuente.
Yeah. I've had this Opus X, and I've had even his 20th anniversary cigars. They're fantastic cigars. Don't get me wrong. I'm kind of the traditionalist, man. I love the core line of Fuente.
I do too. Like the cedar sleeve, like whatever one has a cedar sleeve and then a red ribbon footband on it. It's like MSRP, like $8-9 or something, $10. That's the one. That's the Fuente I smoke the most of. It's good. The Opus X and all those, the anniversaries. I've had them. There's never a construction issue. If you run into a construction issue with Fuente, you got the 1 in a billion. But like for the most of it just hadn't hit my profile right. But whatever that little $8-10 cigar is that he makes, I don't know. I like that one.
I'm the same way. And even the Casa Cuba is a fantastic cigar. That's just really great. His Grand Reserve, I think, is what you're talking about. The Chateau, but all those are fantastic. I think I had the Don Carlos, which was that was the higher end. That was a great cigar. And like you said, I've had all the higher end of the Fuente. He doesn't know how to make a bad cigar. I like that. I'm the same with Padron. I love like the Padron. The higher end Padrones are good. Yeah. You give me that core line. You throw me on a stranded island. And you tell me what cigar can you only smoke your entire time here. I'll be like, just plot me one of those big ass boxes of Padron, just a core line. I'm a happy boy.
Yeah, I haven't delved too much into. I mean, I've maybe only smoked a half a dozen Padrones in my life, maybe a dozen Padrones in my life. So I really don't know the difference. I did have a couple of their like the 64 lately. That was really good. I was off of them for a really long time, just because they were just so strong, and now I don't find them all that strong like I used to. So I like that 64, and I like that one of their other anniversaries, but I don't know enough about the rest of them to really make a judgment.
Yeah, I've had a lot of their anniversary cigars too, and like you said, they're really good. They are, they're just fantastic cigars. But man, you just get just the Padron, just the regular series, little brown, cigar band on it. I mean, I'll grab like it's like a 42, 44 by 6, like a smaller little, like a Corona. That thing in the morning will light you up. Great spice, great flavor, sweet, and again, that's another cigar too. That's just always consistent, always good, great construction, and isn't going to break the bank or the wallet at all.
We got Brian Gordon here watching. What's going on, Brian? Since Brian's in, I want to bring up a topic because maybe Brian, you help me out with this. Brian, you and 98 of your closest friends, guys that you roll with, like men's men, Brian, could you take on a gorilla? That's the big thing. 99 men versus a gorilla. Now, 99 gentlemen like Kerr and myself. I'm not saying, not disparaging you, Kerr. We're older. Me, you, and 96 of our friends are not taking on a silverback.
Yeah.
Brian Gordon might have 98 friends that might take on a silverback.
Even when I was younger, and I approached life with reckless abandon, which is another way of saying I was young and stupid. And gathered 98 or 99 of my friends. No fucking way. No way. Because you first of all, you would have to create this ridiculous scenario that, that after the first 5 to 10 guys get fucked up, the other 80 to 90 guys aren't going to be like, yeah, dude, no. You almost have to have this like vision that everyone's just going to kind of risk their lives in order to bring down this silverback. Now, if it was like a scenario where it was like, you got to get this silverback and or everyone dies. I mean, I think that might create a different scenario, but I don't see it happening. I really don't, man.
You're right. So the first 3 guys that get their arms and legs ripped from their sockets,
you're done.
And their blood everywhere, that makes a mental impact on the next wave of guys that are coming up. Now, if 99 guys bum rushed all at once a silverback, you can't come in waves. It has
Where do you
to
start? Okay,
Yeah.
if you had a strategy and you got your 99 buddies, you're like, we're gonna bum rush them. What's your strategy?
In a circle.
What's your strategy?
Silverbacks in a circle.
Where do you go?
And everybody just attacks from all sides at the same time.
Stop using generic words. What's the strategy? Bum rushing a gorilla is just bum rushing a gorilla. What do you do when you get to the gorilla? Do you grab its neck? Do you grab its arms? Do you try and choke it? Do you kick it in its gorilla balls? Like, what is the strategy? Because its neck is probably like this big.
Oh yeah.
So when you go first, you choke him, and then his teeth are this long, and his mouth opens up this far. You're gonna lose some arms. What are you gonna grab a freaking arm that is literally like a tree? So I kind of laugh at that whole scenario because it's like you said, you have to go in with a plan and be like, okay, listen, you 3 guys just attack its head. I don't care if you lose your hands or your fingers or something like that. You're dealing with an animal that's not going to have, they may have some fear, but in that mode, it just clicks into attack mode. You're not going to be able to ration along. You can't ration with it.
Yeah.
You can't negotiate. You can't be like, okay, listen, we're really tired. You're tired. Let's take a break here.
Yeah.
No. The only thing you do is hopefully have everybody jump on the gorilla and weigh it down to the point where it's exhausted.
Yeah,
and
suffocate
it. And then freaking you'd have a chance. But if you have 99 guys and that thing's just swinging those arms around,
I think it goes through 50 guys in a matter of minutes.
Oh, yeah. The first 10 to 15 guys running in there are mowed down. And then it will make the others take pause. I remember I saw that scenario and I'm like, I don't know, man, that would have to be a scenario where it's like life or death, where it's like, listen, you have to go do it or the world blows up. Then maybe there's a chance. But if it's just kind of like, hey, this is Survivor.
Yeah, I'm out. Don't count me on for one.
That's what I'm saying. He's absolutely right. Because at some point you're gonna be like, listen, man, we're gonna lose some people. It's like shit. Then it means that you got to have probably about a good 30 to 40 crazy dudes who don't care about being first, the tip of the spear. The pioneers who take the arrows. No, I'm good.
That's it. Kerr, straight cut, V cut, or punch cut?
V. I do the
Straight.
deep V. I got my Calibri deep V cutter.
Ever since I got the Dunbarton, I straight cut. I'm 50% straight cut, 50% popping the cap of my fingernail.
Really?
So, yeah.
I do some straight cuts from time to time. If it's a bigger ring gauge, I'll do a straight cut.
Yeah.
That's the only time.
Yeah.
So what else is going on, man?
Oh, not much. Just watching the news. Oh, Canada. Can't you reading that shit on the new prime minister?
I've been kind of out of circulation the last couple of weeks, Kev. So I haven't been really keeping up with the news, to be honest with you. I know the Pope died, and the reason why is he died the same day my dad died. So I was telling my dad, I was like, he won't be outdone. The Pope died. Nope, here comes Tony.
Won't be outdone.
You know what? Because my dad had questions. He was a devout, lifelong Catholic, and he had questions. So I'm figuring.
And he still had questions.
Oh yeah, well he was a devout Catholic, but he's a highly intelligent, very intuitive, and faith driven man. So there are he wasn't a blindly following. So.
That's good, because I've got some friends, older friends that had passed, and they were of the blind faith. They didn't and I knew like who I could ask questions to, like our Brad, and my parents, all any questions that I have. But I've got some and it's the Catholics, like, no, you shouldn't be asking those questions. Wait, what? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's my dad. One of the things that really I was kind of at peace with, even when he passed, is he's like Brad, very strong in faith, like very unbreakable. We every morning we prayed every morning, 8 o'clock in the morning we pray. But he definitely was a highly inquisitive and not a follower, and even. Some of the priests that we've had over the years, even when I was growing up, we had some really great priests, and they would say, hey, it's natural to question. You're human. Don't be. It's okay to be mad at God. We're human. That's what we're conditioned to do. And I think the more questions that you ask, seeking to understand instead of venting, it actually kind of strengthens your faith, because the more you seek to understand, even in trying times like these, you start looking and finding what you're looking for, and I think it just kind of enlightens you.
It's a good way to look at it. I like that. I'm an inquisitive person. I'm always definitely asking questions all the time. So
yeah, but like the question when people it's like a 5-year-old, but why? Why?
Yeah.
Why? And you're like, okay, at some point you have to freaking give you the brain that God gave you and start using it to search for the whys, instead of always sitting around and asking, expecting why to come be delivered to you. It's like when you pray.
Yeah.
If you pray for patience, or you pray for this, you pray for that. God is not a genie. You don't rub a lamp. You don't get pixie dust sprinkled on you and you automatically poof, you're patient. You get tested in order to exercise those muscles to become more patient. So I think there's a big misconception with that, where some folks, there's a reading from Corinthians where it says, when I was a child I thought like a child and I spoke like a child. Well, now that I'm a man, it's time to put away my childish ways. And that's where you need to be as an adult. Is it's no longer thinking or speaking like a child. Now it's time to start exercising your muscles and using your brain.
Yeah. Hello from rainy, cold Pittsburgh. Need some of that Florida weather. It is. It's getting warm down here. I'm not gonna lie.
Pittsburgh. I lived in Pittsburgh for 5 years, and it was the And when I got there, I was like, God, it rains a lot here. And they're like, yeah, this is the Seattle of the East Coast. I was like, oh boy, I'm excited.
Yeah, you guys just got oh, I can't think of his name right now. The a Buckeye, the our quarterback. Yeah,
Bobby Hoying.
No, I don't know. No, I don't know. Oh, speaking of football, did you see your Wolverines? They suspended your head coach for 2 games.
I'm not surprised.
It was well, Michigan took a self-imposed. They suspended him for games 2 and 3.
Took a knee.
Took a knee. Yeah, and then for deleting all them Connor Stallion text. So the NCAA may still come down. So who knows?
But, hey, whatever. I got to ask you something, Kevin. Now that we're on the football conversation, and maybe that I could take a look here at the Pittsburgh Steelers here.
Will Howard and Jack
Will
Sawyer.
Howard.
Yeah.
What's that?
Will Howard and Jack Sawyer.
Okay. Oh yeah. So I take it that Aaron Rodgers is still undecided, but
yeah.
I'm curious on how what do you think about the Deion Sanders' son and the crank call that he got, and how that's all related to the one coach where his son did the call and got the information from his father.
I don't think the coach or the team should have been fined for that, or at least not as much. The kid did go into his father's tablet and go peeking around. Should the tablet, if it was, business based, should it have been locked more securely? Probably. That was a bullshit move right there. That was that's playing with someone's emotions right there. And as much as I wasn't a fan of Deion's kid, whatever, I forget what his name is offhand, but
Shadur.
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 I don't, yeah, that was crap. I think they came down a little too hard, but then again, I don't know. That was a pretty shitty thing to do, but it was pretty shitty that, I think he was blackballed. I don't think the NFL, the draft. You look at, a lot of these guys, Will Howard, Jack Sawyer, or Will Howard went super late. There were a lot of great athletes that just went really late in the draft. You just wonder what these teams are thinking, but I'm not a coach, so I don't know. I'm an armchair Tuesday afternoon quarterback. So
you make Monday morning.
I don't even make Monday morning.
That's fucking great.
Yeah, but it was bullshit. He shouldn't have done it. The kid should have been punished in one way, but I don't know.
It was bullshit. I've read some comments about how they laughed and how he's this. And it's like, listen, it doesn't matter how much of arrogant the kid is. That is, imagine that you just interviewed for a job that you really, really wanted, and someone called you and said, "Hey, we want to offer you a position," and then freaking pulled that shit. Put it in your own personal terms. It's a shitty thing to do with someone. This is a big moment for the kid, regardless if you like him or not, and you're playing games with him, and it definitely crap. I think them dotted lining it back to his dad and the organization and such. They needed to make an example of someone so that shit doesn't happen again.
Oh yeah, because you knew that what happens in the draft, especially if your dad is a coach of any kind. These kids are surrounded by their families. They're waiting for these calls. They get the call, and it's excitation, elations. Everybody's happy, and then come to find out it was a joke. But
well, I'll tell you what. I think I'm wondering. I've heard people bring up race. I've heard people bring up another couple things. I'm like, okay, don't go there. I think in this situation, it's not warranted. I do think that they are going to look at attitude. They are going to look at, how things are coming across, et cetera, et cetera. But more importantly, I think this NIL is really starting to have it is. I think this is the first signs of this possibly influencing or having an impact on the draft.
Yeah, without a doubt, because there are kids that went undrafted. Now they're questioning whether they're eligible to go back to school if you went undrafted, or if you didn't make a certain round, could you pull out and go back to school? Because some of these kids, it just announced today what Texas has a $40 or $50 million budget next year for NIL, outpacing what Ohio State did last year. Some of these kids, actually, I would assume half at least of the draft, those kids would have made more money staying in school for another year.
Shedeur Sanders made $5.1 million.
Oh, is that what his NIL was?
His earned an estimate $5.1 million through his name and image and likeness. NIL.
And going so late in the draft, I guarantee he wasn't guaranteed that.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It's
yeah.
I don't. I mean, again, I'm like you. I'm a Tuesday mid-afternoon quarterback. Whatever. But you're starting. I think that you are going to see these. The risk takers of drafts. I think you're going to see those reduced, attitude, what have you. But more importantly, it is not coincidental that you're starting to see the earnings of a lot of these players in college, and then you're starting to see that their freaking draft valuation is lowering. I can't really put my finger on the direct correlation, but when there's smoke, there's fire, and yeah. I'm sure that there's folks who went in the first round who probably made just as much, maybe a little bit more. But if you're blackballed or you're sending a message, I mean, it was message received.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that went in the first round would have made more money by staying in college. I think for the most part, a lot of the numbers I heard, if you're in the first round, especially the first 3 to 5. Like you're making bank. That one QB that went first round. I don't know what his guarantee is actually going to be, but it could be anywhere between $10 and $20 million just as a sign on. So that first number 1 pick, he's got it golden. But yeah, I don't know. It's and I don't think anybody blackballed Shedeur. They blackballed Dion because there were several people. There's some people like, we don't want Dion calling us every day. We don't want Dion showing up at camp. We don't want Dion showing up at practices, trying to tell us how to do our jobs. And they were blackballing Dion.
He dropped him. He dropped his dad as the agent, I believe, right? I mean,
did he? I didn't know that.
I think he did. At least that was one of the things I read. But Cam Ward was the quarterback from Miami Hurricanes.
Cam Ward.
And his NIL evaluation is around $2 million.
Yeah.
So you're still a college kid making $2 million. That's pretty.
Oh yeah, that's great.
That's no joke.
Thank you very much. We definitely tried our hardest at PCA. Yeah, that's definitely no joke. That's enough to But it's all. But I mean, you played college, so football, so there's a fine line. It's you stay that extra year, and how many college athletes did we see stay an extra year and then get hurt, and then
that's the thing, man.
But it's all a gamble. You go to the NFL though. Going to the NFL is a gamble, and you don't make the cut. Or it's or you still get hurt. So it's
one more year. It's one more year in college with the potential of getting injured, and then you got to look at the life expectancy of your position that you're playing. And then you got to say, okay, I have X amount of years to make my money. If I can leave the draft, if I can leave college early 1 year and give myself an extra year in that position and roll, it's more money that you can make. And I understand that. And I know the one thing that they talked about, with Deion Sanders, are saying, well, look at the Mannings, right? Look at Archie Manning. Look what he did. And since we've had dinner at Manning's,
yes,
down in New Orleans. Um, you learned a lot about Archie Manning that day too, Kevin.
Yeah, yeah.
But he played for the Aints back in the day when their fans would put bags over their head and go to the games. But he was involved in his son's draft. He was influencing things between the Giants and the San Diego Chargers.
Oh yeah.
But he wasn't. I think Deion Sanders was being more deliberate and interfering, and even I think a little bit more vocal about it than Archie Manning. I think different time. I mean, we have more social media now than we did then.
Yeah, you had Deion on tape saying, oh, there's some teams we just ain't playing for, and I'm sure that went through Archie Manning probably said the same thing, but it wasn't on film and it wasn't, on social media.
Right. Yeah.
Saying that. So
I knew he wasn't really happy about the Chargers, and he said it in so many words, and the Chargers are like, we're drafting him anyways,
Yeah.
F you. So it is interesting when you get parents who are former players who get actively involved in that. And I think, many times, especially in this situation, it ends up impacting you negatively than it does helping you. Sometimes it's okay to be like, that's my dad. He played in the NFL and they're there to support you. But you also got to leave a buffer and kind of let your kid stand on his own 2 feet because, you can, like you said, look, when did he go? The 6th round, 5th round? Sanders? Which
God, it was, it was either the 5th or 6th. I want to say 6th, but
I mean, when you think about it, everyone was, the other part I find comical about this whole thing is all the people who were cheering that he went so late in the draft, like it had a direct impact on their day-to-day lives, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Deion Sanders' son, Shadur, he went 6th round. That means I can buy more eggs. I mean, but the part about that I think is so ridiculous is you see so many incredible players that were not first-round draft picks, and you see so many first-round draft picks that were freaking just duds, and I say duds, in a way where. You can't imagine being a young kid coming out of college and had like Ryan Leaf had so much pressure put on him, just broke, didn't have the ability to handle that much pressure that was put on him. So there's a plenty of late drafts. I know you hate him, Tom Brady, Michigan Wolverines.
Yeah.
But I mean, guys like him, Terry Bradshaw, I think he was a late drafter too. I mean, you can go in there and just Google who were late round draft picks that were great football players and you'll see some of the names that'll blow your mind.
Yeah, and then you got like Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, what a bust.
Yep, horrible bust.
Yeah.
And do you remember the guy who played at Michigan State? They call him the Incredible Bulk. He was an offensive lineman. It was like late 80s, early 90s. I can't think of his name right now, but Manzola or something like that. But he was a big offensive lineman that was Sports Illustrated, and he got in the NFL and he shrank. Suspected steroid use, no more, and just didn't do well. Brian Bosworth, outstanding college player, went NFL, terrible.
Yeah. Had a play here and there, and flamboyant at least to at least make it in commercials and a couple of movies, I think. But some
B movies.
Yeah, at least he made some money.
Yeah, I mean, and I understood that he was someone who, he dealt with a lot of injuries as well. But I mean, just Joe Montana, 82nd draft pick overall.
Yeah, Joe Montana.
Joe Montana. Brett Favre was 33rd, and he was actually originally Atlanta Falcon. And they were just like, get rid of him. Roger Staubach, 129th. Jerry Rice was 16th. But I mean, some of these folks, you're looking at their draft pick and where they were in the mix, and you're like, well, there's a difference. I mean, Peyton Manning, was number 1 overall. But then you got these guys like, Jack Lambert was 46th, you know. I mean, I was correct. I was wrong with Terry Bradshaw. He's a first round draft pick. But
Jack Lambert, the only Super Bowl champion I've ever met. So
really,
yeah, big guy. He used to come down to the restaurant I used to work at. His best friend owned the place. So Jack Lambert, big guy, big hands, giant Super Bowl ring.
I can imagine.
Used to wear that thing, but even as an old man, like he shrunk. I mean, he was still bigger than me. I was probably 15 at the time. Giant fucking hands, giant, like cover your whole face.
Yeah, and they're big dudes, man. They're big dudes.
Super nice guy. I remember Jack.
The one that I was amazed at, Shannon Sharp was 192nd draft.
Yeah, and he's messing around with them 20-year-olds. Now look at him.
Well, he can have his day in the sun now, but back in the day when he was playing, good golly, Miss Molly, that guy's he's an incredible football player.
Yeah.
So
who is better, Shannon or Sterling?
If you hear Shannon talk, it's Sterling.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, he's the older brother. They're, like I said, pioneers take the arrows. But I thought Sterling Sharp was definitely an underrated receiver. He was fantastic.
Yeah, Sterling was a little bit before my, yeah. So I
he was fantastic. He really was an exceptional football player. But I think he was on a team full of all-stars in the year with Brett Favre. It's kind of hard to kind of shine, but I mean, for crying out loud, the guy just had so much talent. And I think that obviously as a younger brother myself, when you have an older brother that teaches you all the do's and don'ts, and you kind of, that's your model, you end up kind of passing them by, but you do it because of how much they taught you along the way.
Yeah. They didn't have that mentor like you did,
No.
So, obviously it was only bound to happen that you were going to pass them by.
Yeah, it's an unfair advantage. I mean, it really is. You kind of have this prototype to follow, and you're like, you know what to do, what not to do. And, they didn't have that. They just had their, dads, screaming and yelling at them.
Yeah.
That's all they had.
That's it. Well, but before we move along, we just want to remind everybody that the Puff and Ponder podcast is brought to you by Simpler Hair and Beard Color. I use it. So should you. It's the easiest way to refresh your look in minutes. No mixing, no mess, just natural looking color that blends seamlessly into your hair or beard. It's gentle, hassle-free, and designed for guys who like to keep it simple. Look younger, feel more important, or feel more confident fast. Link in the video description below. Simplify your grooming routine today. So just want to throw that out there. We got a couple more ad reads. We'll sprinkle in.
We'll sprinkle them in. Yeah.
We'll sprinkle them in. So Canada, I've been watching all day.
Yeah. You started off talking about what's with this prime minister? You tell me.
So they're phasing out all vehicles built before 2000 won't be allowed on Canadian roads anymore. Getting rid of all of them. No lifted trucks whatsoever. No vehicles may be modified with any type of suspension lift. Carbon taxes. Oh my God. It's just like Canadians haven't been hit in the balls enough with the tariffs and everything. And then what's the province up there that's looking to break away? What was it? Not Ottawa, but I don't know. One of the provinces that they're just they're looking into how they can become their own sovereignty. It's just
like Vermont always tries every couple of years with in the States.
Yeah, fuck Vermont. God.
Alberta.
Yeah, Alberta. They want to break away. Become their own. So they're just tired of all the bullshit. So yeah, it's poor poor Canada.
Well,
With
they probably voted. That's what they voted for. I mean, that's you kind of I don't know if that's what they ran on or discussed, but man, oh man, that's
well, I mean, and they really didn't vote at all because they had kids as young as 14 were allowed to vote in like certain areas. Anybody, regardless of citizenship, could vote. So it didn't make any difference if you're a citizen or not. You're able to vote. And then there was a whole big thing that like there were like 250,000 people that like Canadian citizens that got disqualified from voting for one reason or another. It's just which they're up in arms. Like if you're allowing 14-year-olds and and non-citizens to vote, how can you disqualify the Canadian citizen at all?
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Let me recap this because it sounds very familiar or something that was one. So non-citizens were allowed to vote. Individuals as low as 14 can vote. So 14 and above could vote. And then they disqualified who were Canadian citizens, their votes.
Yeah.
And then this is what they get, right? So hopefully there's some folks who are paying close attention to this, just not looking at the byproduct of the votes. Like you said, I'm looking here. It's the zero emission vehicle, the ZEV. This whole Canadians, they're always pushing for this climate control thing. I believe it was Canada too that pushed back in the day when the inhalers. They used to have the propellant. They actually outlawed that propellant. You had to go towards. They redid all the inhalers with an HFA.
Oh, really?
It was like a hydrofluoric. I can't remember what it stands for anymore. But they were saying that the original was destroying the ozone layer. But what ended up happening is back when you had these inhalers, some of them had been on the market that long, they were generic, so they were they're super cheap. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go get my albuterol inhaler, it's $3. Well, now since you have to bring it release it in this new HFA propellant, you have to do tests. So now at the time all of the inhalers that were released were all branded products now. So now their prices went up because you no longer have generic products with the old propellant. So it is pretty interesting on how that really hit the market and how it impacted the market of folks who just were, you had an albuterol inhaler. It was a couple of bucks. Now it's like, oh, we got to do a prior authorization. Well, why? You never had to do one before. Well, this is a branded product now. It's not a generic. All of them are branded. So we have to go through this proper procedure. And it was just a bunch of bullshit. I think that was also, spawned up in Canada. But, this is, they tried to lower voting age here in the States. And it's like, it's at 18 now, and still you can't drink. You can go to war, but you can't drink, at 18. And, you keep getting lower and lower, and you keep making excuses on the decision-making process and making this, they're not mature enough to make decisions here, but if they're not mature enough to make the decisions in one part, if they're not capable of being tried as an adult, then why would you allow them to make adult choices? And that's kind of like, I've always thought that voting age, folks who always fought to have, people under the age of 18 to vote, it's like, no, not good.
I almost don't want 18-year-olds to vote in these days.
Not
being able to make informed decisions about their own fucking lives, let alone the rest of us. If you're gonna make the drinking age 21, make the voting age 21, make everything 21.
Or lower the drinking age back to 18. I mean, the sad part is there's a lot of good, intelligent 18-year-olds And there's a lot of really dumb 50-year-olds. There's some 50-year-olds you don't want near a voting booth.
Oh yeah.
But but I think when you start teeter-tottering on when you consider it to be an adult, that's where there's I think another agenda involved with it. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I mean, it's just, it doesn't make sense. Um, Especially when you have 14-year-old. Really, you have a 14-year-old voting for your prime minister or whatever they are, and you could have a 14 or 15. They wanted 16 was they wanted the voting age here in the states. A 16-year-old,
Yeah,
just able to drive a vehicle. You want them to vote for a president.
Yeah, or anything.
Yeah.
I don't want them voting for my city council.
No.
So I don't know. And it's not just me, this old man shaking my fist. I didn't know shit at 18. I didn't know what I was voting for. Like, oh, hey, that guy's got a bigger sign. I like that guy. Well, I'm gonna vote for him.
Imagine at 16.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't know my ass from a hole.
Oh yeah.
16 or 17. I was like, no, I mean, that was, you were just out looking to have fun and party and play sports and hang out with your buddies and chase girls and do that kind of thing as normal 16 and 17-year-olds. And if they said, hey, it's time to go vote for a president, I'd be like, I knew what was going on at the time, watching TV and the discussions in my household, but to be able to formulate an intelligent decision to make it, at that point you're just voting. Yeah. You're going to get a lot of folks, a lot of kids who are going to be voting the same way as their parents do, or you're going to get some folks that are really kind of anti what their parents are. But it's just in my opinion, I don't think it's a discussion. I don't think it's a conversation to be had at that young age. I mean, you can pull out a whole bunch of mature kids at 15 and try and make an argument, but you could probably pull out 2 to 3 times as many kids that age that are just like, oh no. I was on TikTok and I saw this person. I think that makes sense. Oh, that whole 30-second clip that was.
Oh yeah.
Idea. Okay, just want to make sure.
That's it. I don't know. Jessica and I were having a talk the other day about they want to make mandatory military service a thing, and I don't know. I'm kind of for it. So maybe like a 2-year. A lot of countries on this earth, mandate a 2-year, obviously can be deferred if you're in college, or, deferred or just, wiped out. But I don't know. I think something's got to change with these kids,
Yeah, that mandatory military service is always pretty interesting. Like you said, there was a bunch of other countries. We actually had an exchange student. I can't remember where Bastian was from. But when he graduated high school, when we were in high school, he had to go back home because he had a mandatory. He had to go back home and serve in the military, mandatory 2 years.
Yeah,
that's what they do. I mean, I think there's something to it. I think there's also, if you go in and you can actually, you're just not going in just to get beat on. If you can go in and learn a trade, learn some skill sets, learn some maturity, learn some discipline. Maybe not maturity is probably the wrong thing you're going to learn, but I think you will mature through it. Learn some discipline, and then also, get some genuine support that's not payable back to the government. I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, without a doubt. Go in for 2 years. Get your GI Bill. Get some college. I don't know. It's
you're gonna get 2 years of your school paid for. I mean, it's the government's getting 2 years out of you. I think it's the least that could be done. I think that there should be more greater availabilities to our servicemen and servicewomen, and areas that they can take advantage of. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence on that one. I never gave it much thought or deep thought, but I am kind of curious in looking at the countries that do have a mandatory, service engagement. What their statistics look like when it comes to education,
Yeah.
crime rate. I mean, you figure something like that could impact everything.
Oh yeah, without a
The
doubt.
discipline and education alone. I mean, it's curious to see, what the statistics look like.
Yeah, it'd definitely be interesting.
So I did want to bring something up to you, Kevin, because I posted on Facebook, and I'm going to kind of leapfrog back to our cigar conversation that we were having earlier.
Yeah.
And I think the last couple of weeks, us being at PCA, then me being up in Pennsylvania, I kind of had some time just to sit back and smoke a lot of cigars that we got when we were in New Orleans. And I'm starting to post some more things now. I just have not been able to, or in the posting mood, if you will. But going through the cigars that we talked last week, when we had the apostate on, and just some great things going on there, and talk about some of the cigars and the companies that we really were impressed with. Two companies really kind of stand out in my head, and I'm really curious about what you think, and where you stand on this. So for me, the one company that kind of really stood out, and I've smoked their cigars prior, and I've had them because there's a cigar shop down in Columbia, South Carolina, that carries their stuff, and we had them on the show, Big Sky Cigars.
Yeah.
And
Brandon,
I've smoked their cigars, and I was like, okay, good. But for some reason, in my travels and having my alone time, and even with my and spending a lot of time with my sister, but just us being around, I was impressed with their lineup, with their line of cigars. I have not smoked a bad cigar from Big Sky. It's actually made me focus my attention more on that brand and look for their brand now when I go into humidors, because of what I experienced. Not only the time that we spent with them at PCA with the interview and just chatting with them, and super great guys, but the cigars, the quality, what they're putting together was just fucking fantastic.
Absolutely
Incredible.
crushing it. Everything I've smoked from them, like I said, they gave us a 5-pack, for because we're media, they obviously they're smart. Hey, let's give the media guys some cigars to smoke, and hopefully they like them and talk about them. But I've had some cigars from them in the past in my humidor, been going through some of their older stuff as well, and absolutely fantastic. I was on a podcast the other night with one of their reps. It was like 3 guys, and then one of their reps as well. So
yeah, popped on real quick and was
yeah,
a little bit.
And I'm smoking one of the cigars on during that podcast, and yeah, they're crushing it. Absolutely, just doing it right. I haven't had a bad cigar yet, and it's going to be one of those cigars that you're rooting for them. Like there are some, so there are some boutique cigar companies that we've met that at PCA and not at PCA, and that we've interviewed, and I don't know, they just don't do it. It's the cigars are hit and miss. They don't know how to do social media, but if Brandon and Big Sky gets their social media game just a little bit more on point, I think they're going to be one hell of a company.
100%. I know that's a big thing for you, and we've talked about it, and you're right. I mean, it's if you want to, if you, especially boutique, if you want to smoke a cigar, you want to try something, you want to be able to have accessibility to a website, to social media, so you can learn about the company, you can learn where to buy them, you can learn about the blends, you can learn about their history. If you gotta go searching that deep, at some point you're gonna be like, what? It's not even, the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah, it's the rule. It's 8 seconds. You only capture somebody's attention for 8 seconds. When someone has a question about something, they're not going to leave first page Google, first of all. So they're going to Google your name. So you better have some decent search engine optimization going on. But which you don't even need to pay for that. You know, if I'm looking for Big Sky cigars, which Brandon does, he's got a website, you know, it's all, I'm just using him as an example because we're talking about, I don't want to have to go to page 2 of Google to find where I can maybe get Big Sky, or, you know, or on the first page of Google, which I've had with these boutique cigar companies, it takes you to only Facebook or Instagram. And that's it. When you're looking for these, and I'm like, I don't even try. I'm like, no, I'm not going there because I know I'm going to go to their Facebook and they're not going to have a website, because if they had a website, Google would have crawled it and that would have been the first response. Or same with their Instagram. And I don't want to deal with Instagram messaging back and forth, because they're, you know, that's a pain in the ass. So yeah, I just skip it. Yeah, I'm like, nah, don't care.
No. And I smoked the Cryptid the other day.
Yeah, I smoked that one last week.
Wow. I mean, that was an exceptional cigar. You know,
yeah, that was really good.
It had some crazy, you know, flavors to it, because I got about midway through and it started to almost kind of give me that like the underground Maduro that has that certain flavor to it. It's kind of smoky, kind of not. And, you know, like it gave you some subtle smoky flavors, really rich in flavors, not too peppery, but very earthy, smoky, and at times it was even, you know, had like that bittersweet chocolate flavor. But just really, really impressed with those guys, and you know, I really, like you said, I wish them nothing but luck. If they keep, their bitter root was good. I mean, everything that I smoked from that company has been fantastic. So
yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Like I said, man.
Yeah, I would just like to see their social media game just pick up just a little bit. You know, Brandon over at Apostate, you know, every time you open up Facebook, there's Brandon somewhere doing something, you know, flying, just smoking a cigar, and he's doing it right. You know, I talk to these cause they reach out to me, you know, like how do I do this, or how do I do that? And I'm like, you gotta start posting every day, twice a day. Well, you know, it's really hard. I go, you're talking to a guy that has a 40-hour a week job, and then has my own little boutique cigar company, and then has my accessory company. And I still post 2 pictures a day smoking other people's cigars. You know, it's you know, so yeah, don't
somebody do it if you're too busy.
Yeah, I'm the wrong guy to complain to.
Yeah.
When you say you're too big, you know, time is the excuse of the lazy. You know, and that's a model I have lived by. You know, if you don't have time, then don't do it.
Right.
Don't make cigars. If you don't have time, just don't do it. Don't just have a cigar company, you know, just to say you have a cigar company. Like we were talking privately in our chat, you know, about the one company we met. You know, we met a bunch of people there, but the one guy, he's been up. Hey, we met you, you know, at a PCA. You know, I smoked a cigar, and you know, he's, you know, following up with me about it. You know, and he sent me a box, and I split that box up today, and I sent you some, and I sent some other. I sent a couple other media guys some cigars, and you know, the guy was just, you know, real tiny company, but he's a go-getter. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I can't promise you anything. I'm like, but I'll tell you what, I'll spend my money, because it cost me $20 in shipping today.
Yeah.
To send all this out for a guy that I don't know. But you know, I'm like, all right, you know, you seem like you got your shit together. Like you know, you really want to make this work. I'll help you out. You know, and you know, at least I did that part. But yeah, it's Big Sky gonna be a good company. Packaging on point, cigars on point, bands are on point. Yes, and you got to have a good band. I found a 5-pack of cigars in my humidor today, and or the other day. Actually, I found 3 the other day, and then going through what I'm gonna smoke tonight, I found 2 more. I'm like, what the hell is this cigar? So I had to get my glasses out. I can't read the band. I got my phone out and took a picture of it, and I'm blowing it up. I still can't read it. Finally did a Google reverse image search and found out the company that made the cigar. And then by that time, I'm like, I'm over it. I'm over it.
So what was it?
I don't want to say now.
Okay.
It's
Wait to tease me all the way out, Kevin.
From Lucky Cigars. I don't even know where I came across these cigars. I got a 5-pack of them.
Lucky Cigars?
Lucky Cigar. Everything I couldn't find, bands that you can't read, that has UPC codes on there. They don't even have the company name on the UPC code. I guess I probably could have Googled the UPC code, but I'm just so frustrated with this cigar. I don't even want to smoke it.
Is that the one that you sent me that you couldn't a while back and couldn't find? I remember there was one that you sent me. In a cigar band, and it was like I couldn't find it for the life of me.
No, I think I know which one you're talking about, but I don't think this one was it. I don't even know where I got these. But
yeah, that's crazy. No, even when you look at Lucky Cigars, it's like it's all over the place.
Oh, the website's a mess. You don't even know what you don't even know what the website's about.
Well, it's lifestyles and accessories. I don't know if I'm buying coffee, if I'm buying freaking tea, or if I'm buying cigars. I mean, it's like it really, I don't know. Yeah, I get it. And listen, I think you and I have talked about this before, and I am by no stretch of the imagination have a perfect website, but I think that when you do work hard to create a functional but also a user-friendly website, that when you see one that's kind of busy and all over the place, it gets very frustrating.
Yeah, I don't have an over-the-top website, but it's got info on it, and you can click a thing that says buy. That's it. And there are some people that have websites that are just landing pages, that you can't buy or anything, but at least they have a contact us. So if you're at least interested, you can go that extra step. People won't. It's people are it's the Amazon, and I'm one of those people. I don't want to put in the extra work. There are 1,000 cigar brands out there, tens of thousands of cigars. I'm not going to go the extra step to try and contact somebody. Like, hey, I heard Kevin talking about your cigars. I'd like some info on how I could purchase them. And it's like, nah, not going to do it. I wouldn't even go that step. So,
no, I'm with you.
Have a retail finder, and one of them retail finders better the hell sell online.
Yeah. So, I mean, but even so, like I have, we have our site, right? Yeah. But then I do also have Stogie Road Cigars, which is it's more of a landing page and tells you about the cigars, and that's where a lot of, I'll send and there's an area for if you want to get in contact with us for if you're a cigar shop and so on and so forth. So I try and keep those two things almost kind of separate, where we do sell them online for folks who can't get them anywhere else. But more importantly, I do have a landing page for people who want to learn more about the cigars and so on. But yeah, it definitely is. It's important.
It's important. I mean, we have a website for the I Tap That Cigar show. It's called tapthatcigar.com. Does it get a lot of traffic? No. It costs me like $100 a year to have it. Whatever. It's $100 a year for a website. It's got some ads on it, and it's got a link to our YouTube channel. Right. That's about it. It doesn't have a link to anything else where you can buy cigars, but yeah, it's like $100 a year, to have a website. It's just to not have a website in 2025 is just, it's dumb. It's dumb. So.
No, I hear you, man. It is. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is the one cigar company I posted today that I've been impressed with every cigar that I smoked, and they're kind of the sleeper, I think, for me of this, my very first PCA, but I've smoked other, newer cigars that come from PCA and such. And it's Umami, the company that we were like, they misspelled Miami.
Yeah. From a distance, like Miami cigar, I'm like, boy, Jason Wood is not going to be happy with that name.
But yeah, it was completely like for me, I was like, wow, this cigar, the cigars that they produce, the guy was super nice. I was really kind of blown away. It's kind of funny. I think you were going to the bathroom. We were waiting for a conversation with Nick of El Mago, and next thing you know, it's like I'm sitting there shooting the shit with this guy, and we got an interview with him. Super nice guy. So I was like, yeah, smoke some cigars. I tell you, I have not had a bad cigar from them, and they're all well constructed, great flavors. Just everything about their blends that I've been smoking, I've been completely impressed with. I mean, big.
I wish I knew. I didn't get any cigars from them. So, but we do have them on the show in like 2 weeks. Amin. So,
and I feel bad because I thought I thought they gave you some, and I was like, I when you said you didn't have any, I was like, oh shit, really? Because I could have sworn that he had given us some both of us cigars. So I've been horribly
you've been smoking them like I was eating that chocolate. Hopefully Kevin doesn't notice.
Motherfucker, yep, you got that right, you brat bastard, you. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was, one of those things where I was like, Kevin's got these, he don't need any of these. Kevin was chomping down on chocolate and everything, and I was kind of left in the lurch. He's like that guy on Survivor Island where you're trying to like parse out the food because you're all dying of thirst and hunger, and Kevin comes across like a freaking banana and just like hides it and eats it. That's what it was like at that moment. No, I could have sworn that you had that you had the cigars, and then when you said you didn't, I was like, damn, man, I was unaware of that because they're really fucking good.
So but a super nice guy. Can't wait to hear his story, and just see where he's come from and how he got to PCA. I don't know if this was his first PCA, how he got hooked up with Nick. I know they're friends, so I'll reach out to Nick maybe and be like, hey, give me a little little backstory.
Just and like I said, really, really good cigars.
Yeah.
Really good cigars. So I was really kind of I was really impressed with them, and good story. Super nice guys. I'm really morbidly curious to try that freaking super Lancero that he had. That looked like it was just going to be a big pain in the ass to smoke. And I love Lanceros. Don't get me wrong. I love Lanceros, but I was like, what was it, like 14 inches or something ridiculous? Like
it was something. It was I think it was longer than an A, but
yeah, I was like, what the hell? Seriously?
And just how they, and it's got to be so limited because you got to roll that with one leaf. So, I mean, just the amount of just leaves available to roll a double length Lancero, has got to be, it's just got to be rare to get leaves that big. So
has to be.
Yeah.
So, I kind of, I saw that and I was kind of laughing, and I know he was the way he was kind of talking about it. I was like, well, he's not going to be giving any away those long ass Lanceros. I get he doesn't want to give those up, but I am curious on smoking it now just because of how well the others smoked, and really just how impressed I was with their cigars. It was, for me, been smoking through the cigars and trying them, and just really impressed with with the construction and the flavor profile of those cigars. And I think that is that's one that if you do pick it up in your humidor, you're not going to be disappointed in the cigars. I mean, you just won't be. They're really really good. I could say they were even. I smoked the Connecticut the other day. It was, what was it, the Cyrus, the one with the green band.
Yeah,
That
I
thing
don't
was,
know.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I'm trying to describe, pink or purple to freaking Stevie Wonder right now. I apologize.
Yeah.
But man, just I'm really curious on what your thoughts are on that cigar when you do get a chance to smoke them. And I stop rubbing it in, so I do apologize.
Yeah.
Selfish prick that I am.
So we'll see. Maybe I'll try and get some before we have them on the show, and
Yeah,
I'll see what see what I can do.
yeah,
But yeah, it was yeah, a lot of a lot of them don't give up their like that stuff at PCA. Like they're not they're not giving out like their hard stuff. Um Fuad at Hiram Solomon. I mean, we were blessed to have two of the only cigars given out at
yeah.
I mean, just you know about just a humbling experience for him to pull out the only box he has,
Yep.
and we were the only two people that got those cigars.
Yeah,
So
I smoked that the other night with a lot of love in my heart, um, because of the great conversation that we had. Just the day before when I ran into him, or the night before when we were out in the courtyard or whatever, I ran into him, and just such a genuinely good guy, and nothing but really great things to say about him, and just his um, his demeanor, the way that he approaches things, especially with his brand, you know, and I really was, um, I don't know, I was really taken back by that moment. And then, like you said, when he pulled out the box and he showed the number of cigars that were given out, and then we were the next two in line, and it was a box of what, 10? There's only two missing.
yeah,
Um, and it really hit me deep in the heart. So I had an opportunity to smoke that cigar and just really loved it. It was, you could definitely tell that there was um, some quality tobacco used in constructing that cigar, and just I wish him and his future for that company nothing but the best, man. He's just a great guy, just a great
absolutely.
guy.
There are people in the cigar industry that like I'm friends with so many manufacturers. Jonathan Drew, Steve Saka, Pete Johnson. I could go on and on, but like if I really needed something, like, and like I was like in desperate need of something tobacco related, and I absolutely had to have it. There's only two people I would call like right away, and I know they'd pick up, and it would be Fuad, and it would be Billy and Gus with Viva our
Oh,
Arizona Del
those are super
Tobacco.
nice guys.
The Billy and Gus and Fuad, no matter where they were on this world, they would stop what they were doing, and they would instantly make sure that whatever I needed or Jessica needed was done right away. I mean, you
I
got other
would
guys
too.
like yeah,
I
yeah. Oh,
would
yeah, I mean,
too.
yeah. I mean, like
Okay,
on
I'm
a
fucking with you, Cap. I
yeah.
know.
And I'm talking like on a manufacturing level. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
needed I needed bands right now. I needed where cigars supposed to go into production, and I need tobacco, or
yeah,
I need something like that. I need an in. I need to get down to this factory right now,
yeah.
and that's done,
Yep.
not without any question, just done. Not
Yeah,
don't even follow up, Kevin. It's done. So
yeah. Great guys, and to your point, I mean, most definitely, folks that you said. I mean, there's some folks you can count on, and other folks that you're good friends with, but um, Billy and Gus, man, that's the first time I got a chance to meet them, and it was they two of the nicest people too. I mean, it's really great when you're running into folks like that, you know, in the industry, just genuinely humble, super nice, very engaging, just fun to be around, and just and very gracious too, very gracious. Um, I was a big fan of those guys, so it was really nice to finally meet them in person and have a um, an interaction with them because they make some great cigars too, man. God Almighty,
They they
that little
they make,
pack
like
they
I
have
said,
is
they
pretty
make great
freaking on point,
cigars. Like I
huh?
said, oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. Everything they do on point, and it's
God,
because they're very methodical about everything they do. They don't, they haven't come to the scene. They've been doing this for I don't know, 8 years now. Whatever it is, and they still only have two cigars. They have different iterations of those two cigars,
yeah,
but they still only have two cigars. That they've perfected those two, and it's yeah. I mean, look at the one we got, the Viva La Vida Connecticut. Hell, like I said, the regular's been on the market for 7-8 years now.
yeah,
And they finally like, well, it's time to make a Connecticut. And working on that one for a couple of years.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it does go to show you that you don't have to have multiple blends and multiple sizes to be successful. They really are impressive with what they've released, and it's intelligently too, because they were also able to release it where you're going to shops and they're out, because that they're selling, that they are always selling and always moving in the humidor, and just again, fantastic cigars, because um, no, there's a lot of really great people in the industry, and sometimes you can meet some great people, and maybe their cigars aren't that fantastic, but those guys, it's you get both, great guys, great cigars, just everything, and those little Viva La Vidas in that pack that they
Oh,
showed us.
that's the El Pulpo,
El
the
Pupo,
fry.
that's it. I'm sorry, El Pupo.
El
Yeah,
Pulpo, the fry. Yeah.
that is Jen loves those. Those are just freaking awesome.
They're great, powerful little cigars.
Oh
They
my
burn
god.
well. Good
Oh
little, for me, a good little, 25-minute cigar, and
yeah.
comes in the perfect little pack.
Oh
So
my god. It's and we found them up in Harrisburg, the Harrisburg Beer and Wine, when I was up. So I spent a lot of time in Harrisburg the last couple of
yeah,
weeks. So I was able to go up and enjoy some cigars, and at least stop in there when I had some downtime between going to the hospital and stuff. But um, when Jen and I went up for the funeral, we stopped by there because we got in a little early, and it was just, I had to pull her out of that humidor. I mean, I always think like I'm the one who's going to go in there and be ridiculously,
yeah,
out of control in the humidor, and I'm, yanking her out of the humidor, like Jen, we got to go, and this what you're doing isn't in the budget.
yeah.
you know,
It's what in a planned vacation trip where we have
yeah,
an X budget to spend.
but you
So
can't help it, man. They got a great selection up there, so. But
no,
yeah,
that's not James's shop, is it? Harrisburg.
he's one who. Yep, he's manager of that one. Yep.
Okay, I didn't know that was a beer and wine shop.
Yeah, yeah. It's all set
Yeah,
up to be like a. They have a lounge next door. They
yeah.
do. They have a lounge. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I knew they
a
had a lounge, but
membership. Yeah,
for some reason I didn't know um like James had a beer and wine like that was all
yeah,
part of. Yeah.
yeah. It's a big that when I used to live in Harrisburg, where they are, used to be a bagel shop, a dry cleaner, I think part of Rent a Center, and they kind of knocked down the walls, and they have a big selection of beer, like ridiculous, awesome selection of beer. They have a wall humidor of all flavored cigars, and they have a very jam packed, big humidor, um, behind the, off to the side. and that's where I got the year of the Duque.
Yeah.
Um, just a great selection, man. They carry a lot of brands. They also do I think they do the Black Luxury online.
Black Lion Luxuries.
Black
Yeah.
Line Luxuries, yeah. So they do that as well. So whenever you're in there, you see those guys coming in and picking off cigars, picking them out for their online business and their membership. But just a really nice selection. I mean, I think I've and probably other people have gone in there and have picked through some of their vintage stuff. That's where I found a lot of the Alec Bradley
Yeah.
older packets, and that's where I found the Saka's STFU a couple of years ago. So you got to dig a little bit. You can still find some stuff. We found those little mini cigars that Jennifer sent you, the picture of them. Shit, what was that? Do you remember? Jennifer sent you a picture of like the little mini cigars, and you knew who they were right away. God, I had no idea. She kept asking me, and my head wasn't in the game. But
while you're looking that up, we'll read a little ad read from our next partners. My company, Irish Beard Balm, no gimmicks, just results. Here's a fact: no product can magically grow your beard, but you can make the most of your beard, the beard you've got with Irish Beard Balm. This isn't your average balm. It's a lightweight formula that conditions and softens your beard without using heavy butters that weigh it down. The secret? A mix of natural ingredients like beeswax, hemp seed oil, and argan oil that hydrate and protect your beard, leaving it looking and feeling great. Don't settle for less. Try Irish Beard Balm today and feel the difference.
The Irish Beard Balm.
And we do use real argan oil, which is ungodly expensive. It's like $100 for a tiny little bottle.
Where's that come from?
We use Moroccan argan oil. That's like the most purest argan oil and the most expensive that you can buy. So we use Moroccan argan oil.
What is it made from?
I forget what the nut is or the seed that argan oil is made from. So when you're at the store and you see like this Pantene shampoo for like $2.50 and it says it's got argan oil in it, it doesn't. It either has a drop of it in it or it's got like some cheap mixed with other stuff argan oil. So in our little 2-ounce tin, you'll get more argan oil than you will in probably a 64-ounce bottle of argan oil that you pay at the store.
No kidding.
So did you find the cigar?
I'm waiting on it, but I did want to ask you from now that PCA is kind of way off in our rearview mirrors. I know we were given some other cigars by other companies, but it was what for you was the sleeper? Like, which one was really impressive for you that when you went into the PCA, maybe you didn't know about them, or maybe you knew about them, maybe had a cigar, but you left PCA going, wow, I got to revisit them.
Prior to PCA, I've really gotten back on the Avo kick. So ever since the Great Smoke at the beginning of the year, our buddy Law Ream works for Avo now as a like brand ambassador. Tom Zibbrad, formerly of Drew Estate, is with Avo now. So since the beginning of the year, I've really been diving deeper into Avo. They've got or not Avo, Zeno. Zeno.
There you go. Yeah.
And they've just been banging. Probably actually. So for a cigar, if you want to talk about PCA, Camacho. So I have tons of Camacho, and I've kind of fallen off a little bit. I don't know why I love Camacho, but I had that broadleaf, at that event that we went. I'm like, damn it, this is a good cigar.
Really.
Really good. And then I smoked another one. Then I took one home with me. So I got a few, and like Camacho, I'm like, I really got to dig into my Camacho supply and really start smoking some Camacho again, because it's a brand that I absolutely loved. but I didn't have, and maybe this is the same for you. Maybe it's the same for other cigar smokers out there. If I don't have a connection to the company, like on not that I, not that I don't have to know somebody there. Like if I have like Cornelius and Anthony, I loved Cornelius and Anthony. I didn't know the brand owner, but I had a relative, Cornelius. That's the first Shahan that came over. They had the Cornelius. My good buddy Craig Vanderslice, in love with the whole brand, knew everybody there. So I had like a connection with Cornelius and Anthony. Right. So I liked smoking them. Camacho, I didn't have that connection. Then when our good buddy Jack Heyer went over to Camacho and been doing a good job over there, I feel like I have that connection again, and it makes me want to smoke that cigar. So I'm less inclined to smoke a cigar that I don't have a connection with, like just for the sake of smoking it. Like I see Coop or Half Wheel or Dojo post about a cigar that they liked. Like it doesn't make me want to go out and smoke it. But if someone, like yourself, that you're always smoking it and like, oh man, I think you'd like this, I really like it, then I kind of have that secondary connection to that brand, and it makes me want to smoke it. So, but yeah, Camacho, I think I'm going to start diving back into that brand.
I got to agree with you on the Camacho because, I've smoked them before. And like you said, I kind of like, yeah, okay. And then you kind of go away from it. But thank you. The Camacho, you liked the broadleaf, right? That was, that one was really good. The other one that they had there that I thought was freaking, was the Nicaraguan.
Yeah.
I was like completely, I like you said, I couldn't get enough of that cigar. I just wanted to hang out and smoke those all night. Great little party that they put together, but another one of those cigars that have, I kind of overlook in the humidor that I'm probably going to give it a second look see, moving forward. I don't know if you can see this, Kevin, but let me put this up here. It was this cigar.
What is that little? What is that? That's
It is. Jesus H. My eyesight.
Is that the Alec Bradley?
It is the Siempre. Siempre.
Oh yeah. Jen sent me that photo the other day. That's right. Yeah. You're right. And then that was made by
you. God, who did? Wasn't it the guy who we had on who does the coffee now? Who's God, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, I remember Dapper.
I know when I looked up it was Dapper Cigars, but I thought you had mentioned someone else had done those cigars because I couldn't find that cigar band.
Yes, it was I'm trying to think. You're right. I remember it was wasn't it somebody else that originally?
I cannot think of his name right now, but we had him on the show when he was doing coffee. He had done cigars, kind of in that whole boofy group of guys.
Tony Bellato with Bellato. I forget La Barba.
La Barba, that's it.
La Barba did the Siempre first.
Yeah, that's right. A nice little cigar.
How was the cigar? Because those had to been like 10 years old.
Jen smoked it in the car when she lit it up. I'm not gonna lie to you. It smelled like an old man's chair who smokes pipes and cigars for 30 years. That's what it smelled like. The whole car, like, I was like, oh my God. She goes, what? I go, it kind of smells good. She's like, yes. Or she goes, it smells like my grandfather. I go, oh, it does. It does. That was the smoke it gave off. When I smoked it, it tasted nothing like the smell of smoke. It was a very mild cigar. It did have a little bit of that kind of dried fruit flavor to it. I think is giving off that vanilla kind of cherry type flavor. So there was a little bit of that, but a very mild cigar. It had not spicy at all, but it did have some character to it. But man, oh man, I ain't gonna lie. When we were driving down the road and she lit it up and started smoking it, I was like, that smells like a freaking, like that Archie Bunker looking chair.
Yeah.
That's just been the grandpa's chair for the last 40 or 50 years. He smoked a cigar and a pipe in. That's what the smoke smelled like.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. And I was scrolling through Facebook today in one of our local groups. Someone had put out like a curb alert. Like whenever someone puts something out on the curb, it's free. First come, first serve. If the post is up, it's still available. And it was an old like Archie Bunker chair and love seat, and it was just that flowered. And just the way the motif, you just knew it was from like the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And first thing I said was, I wonder what that chair smells like. So that was the first thing I thought. Like, what does that chair smell like?
Well, in my opinion, it probably smelled like the Samperi, but good flavor. A nice little short cigar too. Nothing that's going to be overwhelming. Nothing that's going to freaking blow your mouth up. Just a real nice mild cigar. With some really unique flavors to it, but it tasted better than it smelled. And Jennifer did not mind the smell. When I started smoking it, she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. It does smell like that, but I love it. It reminds me of my grandfather."
Yeah. I had the owner of M Bombay Cigars reach out to me last night, and I don't know if anybody ever remembers M Bombay. Mel, he's back in the game. So gonna start you're gonna start seeing his cigars out there. Gonna start he's got John Carney, who we interviewed at Bentley Tobacco. John's got a whole team with his company that represents cigars. So John's team's gonna be representing M Bombay. Hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn here. So Mel's gonna send me some cigars. I'll send some your way. And and I'm like, yeah, it's so weird. I smoked one of your cigars last week, posted it up on Facebook. Love the Indian theme of the cigars, and
yeah. I smoked his cigars years ago. I mean, it's been when it's probably been like 8 years ago or 7 years ago. I even was part of a HERF with Bob the Cigar Guy. It was the one and only time I got invited over to Bob's house. Yeah. With Duncan, and we were smoking. I think it was M Bombay we were smoking at the time, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, right on.
He always had like that double. He always had the big cigar band. He took it off and had a smaller cigar band. Really decent cigars. I mean, good cigars. I've always felt they were pricey. I think they were a little bit more on the higher end of the price scale. And I was kind of new to really getting back into the cigar game, back then. But he's the guys at Harrisburg Beer and Wine, Beer and Tobacco. They have a whole selection of M Bombay. So Cardic up here at Boiling Springs. I mean,
I'm assuming that they've always like kept making them because obviously you keep all your trademarks and everything. But I guess that they really want to put some effort in letting people know that the cigars are back. And then Boil at Your Own Risk, the Cornelia Mistress. Oh, I love that Mistress. And if I don't know what's gonna. So our good buddy Craig Vanderslice, aka Cigar Craig, he had met the owner. He knows the owner of Cornelius and Anthony, and saw him at TPE. And I guess there was a like a thing said, back and forth, like an implication maybe that we'll see Cornelius and Anthony on the shelf again one day. So I don't know.
That's a good brand. They had really great cigars. I remember when I first it was about 9 years, 8.5, 9 years ago, or something like that, where I was up north and was introduced to them in Maryland. And I think the guy, it was Signature Cigars in Maryland. I think it was somewhere near, Silver Springs or something. But um, his daughter worked for Cornelius and Anthony, so he was like their biggest account. So
Yeah.
any Cornelius and Anthony the imaginable was at this location, and just a great price point, great cigars. And that's when I first got introduced to them way back in the day. And I remember bringing some of them back to Duncan, and he actually brought them into his shop down here. And I think they're out now, but I think several months ago when I went in there, they still had a box of some in there left.
Yeah, it was. I kicked myself in the ass like a year ago over there at Shabaz's place, and not picking up the last of the Cornelius and Anthony that they have. He still has some Balmoral, another great company that exited the U.S. And I'm like, I should just go over there and pick them up. But then I look at my humidor, like, what am I going to do with them? I'm going to pick them up and just let them sit there for the next couple of fucking years.
Yeah.
I've really curtailed the amount of cigars I buy.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just, it's obscene. It's obscene.
Yeah, I know. There's moments, like you said, where you can kick yourself in the butt when you're like, I had an opportunity to buy X, Y, Z, and you're like,
Yeah, I mean, just
I don't have your problem. I don't have your problem. I'm not complaining that my wallet's too big or anything like that. I mean, but it's just decisions that are, at that moment, you're like, okay, I think I'll buy some here. Yes, it's really cool. I found some old stuff, and now I'm looking back on it, going, damn, I should have just been rolling freaking money out and just got everything I could with that.
I know. Jessica and I just renewed our Tatuaje Saints and Sinners membership for another year, and we have Saints and Sinners cigars from 2 years ago that we haven't smoked. Like I'm just now opened up last year's packs, and it just now we've got even more cigars coming, and it's just it's crazy.
Well, when I first met Deb down at the Greenwood shop, I took you down there, little Greenwood. At that moment, I was helping her kind of get her cigar business back up and running, and I should have said, "Hey, listen, I'll buy all this old stuff so you can replace it with new," because she just had so many old boxes of Camacho. I mean, she had the Balmoral before they redid it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The old Balmoral. I mean, and just all the different cigars that she had in that shop, and the place where I picked up the Camachos, the original 18 count.
The diplomas, yeah.
He had 2 boxes. I bought with 2 boxes. There's another box that was kind of partially up, but I should have dug a little bit deeper. There's a lot of tobacco beetle damage out through that humidor, but those boxes were sealed, so I kind of took the risk with them. I thought it was a safe risk. Was not a risk at all at that point. But damn, when you stumble across a place like that, you're like, I should just
at Shabaz's place in 2 weeks, I spent $3,000 in 2 weeks on cigars. And I just bought 75%.
Piano one too, right? You got the whole
oh my god, I picked up that box for, it was a couple $100. I think maybe $300. I picked up that piano box for, and I think I eventually sold it for $1,000.
Really?
And it was just, I held on to it forever, and I'm like,
I remember that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just going to come off of it, and then I think I got $1,000 for that box, and that was a tough one to sell because I wanted to smoke them all.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I mean, I ended up smoking some I wish I still had to this day. I wish I would have been a little bit more, but I don't regret it. I mean, I shared cigars with friends and stuff like that, but man, oh man, like you said, it's like, fuck. And then that one shop it was like a freaking tobacco shop in North Carolina. Like I just happened to be taking a back road to get to the main road. And I was like, oh, whenever, when Coop and when Jessica was on, they were talking about like, when you travel, do you map out your cigar shops? Whenever I traveled, I did. But I also made sure that if I saw the word cigar, I'd stop.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I stopped in a place in Maryland. I walked into it. All the cigars were behind freaking bulletproof glass. And they had a little freaking area that they were like, point out what you want. They gave you your freaking cigars. You pulled the money back in. And I was like, I need to buy and get the hell out of here quickly if they're behind bulletproof glass. But this place is like going from point A to point B, and I just saw cigars in a strip mall of like, old abandoned freaking, 5 and dimes and whatever. And I'm like, I have no idea where it is. None. Didn't have a business card. Couldn't get a business card from him. But I wish I knew where he was, because I'm sure whatever was there 8 years ago is probably still there.
Oh yeah, it's like when I took you into my buddy Shabazz. It's it's in the back of a plaza, next to a Buffalo Wild Wings. You got to walk through the vape shop, to get to this massive humidor that you would never think that was there.
No,
and he still has the like old ass Illusiones, which I should go and just finish buying all of them. But yeah, it's just those are the shops. And Jessica did a great job on if you didn't see KMA Talk Radio this past weekend, Jessica, Coop, and Abe, and what a great conversation. And even Abe at, towards the end of the show, had made a comment that it was just one of his favorite shows he's done in a really long time. And because it was just a really good show, and it was just 3 friends talking and just shooting the shit, and it was just very, very laid back, very laid back show. And
Jessica did a real nice job.
Yeah, so she'll be on again in a couple of weeks. They're doing a series of a guest host, and I could see Jessica, maybe making a more regular appearance on KMA. She had fun doing it, and everybody seemed to like it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was a good conversation. I got to watch a lot of it. I got a chance to finally meet Coop at PCA.
Oh yeah,
super nice guy. I wish I would have been able to spend a little bit more time, but he's a man on a mission. But it's always interesting, seeing him. He's very knowledgeable. But yeah, Jessica held her own. I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, that she did. Adam had his first Circle of Life this weekend. I'm glad you like it. I love the Circle of Life. I definitely got to hunt down their new one. The what is it? The Devil Crab. So I want to try that one.
Great cigar.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh, you did send a picture. You smoked that.
Yeah, they had them at and I did have a Circle of Life too. That's a great cigar. But
yeah,
Devil Crab was I was like, man, this is a good cigar. I would like to eat Devil Crab and then have the cigar after eating it, because it was a very, very good cigar. Yeah. Yeah. Good. It was spicy, but not too spicy, but it had a lot of really nice flavors to it. It really did. The other cigar, now you said that Camacho was the one that really, and Zeno, right?
Yeah.
With the 2 ones. That you kind of came out with a different kind of outlook on them. Any newer cigars that you smoked that were really kind of impressive for you? And it doesn't necessarily have to be it may have been one of the newer ones that you smoked that we had there, or maybe a newer company that you weren't aware of, but now you've smoked and you're like, wow, okay, this is pretty good.
Not really any newer company that I wasn't familiar with prior. The one company I talked about was it La Negra Rosa, I think is what the cigar company that sent me the box. I smoked his Salomon that he gave me. Really, really good cigar. I really enjoyed that cigar. So, but other than that, a couple of misses. I smoked a few from smaller companies. You're like, and it's like, oh, that's
not the way you described it.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
Yeah,
a little rough. Yeah,
I did
the
like the
Illusion.
Jubilee. I did like the
Yeah.
Jubilee was good.
Which one was Jubilee?
Saka.
Yeah, that's right. The 10th anniversary. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's got to church it up and call it the Jubilee. That was a great cigar.
that was really nice.
And that was a really, but even he said he knew I was going to like that cigar just because of what I like in his portfolio. So he knew I was going to like that cigar.
Yeah,
So,
I like a stronger cigar, but I'll tell you what, one of my first introductions and loves was is a very kind of medium cigar with a lot of flavor to it. And that's Paul Gamarian cigars.
yeah.
Just great blending, great age, great tobacco, good flavor. You smoke a cigar, you're gonna be like, hey, it's not freaking on the heavy end. It's not spicy. It's not freaking power bomb. It's not gonna freaking knock you out with nicotine. So when I do have cigars like that, I really do appreciate it. And I thought that cigar was in that wheelhouse where it was just a great flavor bomb that it was a very enjoyable smoke. I felt the same way about the Red Anchor too. That was a cigar that had.
Oh, crazy. And Fausto, I've never smoked a Fausto.
Yeah, you haven't smoked a Fausto?
I don't think I ever have. Jessica has.
They're great.
She smoked quite a few of them.
Yeah, that's a Jessica. That's in our wheelhouse. That'll. Whew.
Yeah,
that's a great cigar though.
Yeah,
price point too.
Yeah, that Red Anchor was really good. And then what was didn't he give you the other one? There was two that that they were promoting there. The Red Anchor and then the one with the star on it.
Gold Star.
The Gold Star.
I don't think I got a Gold Star, but I did buy one at when I was up in Harrisburg, and it was a fantastic cigar.
Yeah, that Gold Star was good, but that Red Anchor by United, man, that was a great cigar.
That was another company that when we got there and met them and did the interview and just super friendly, great stories, and a great portfolio. That's another one where I kind of stepped away from, like, you know what, I got to look more into their cigars because really enjoyed the time that we spent there. And what's funny is, we may go into a place like that and spend 15 minutes because that's our allotted time. We actually have respect for people who are behind us. But it seems like, certain booths, it seems like we're there longer because the interaction is that much engaging and it's enjoyable. So a 10 or 15 minutes at that United felt like we were there for 30 or 45 minutes.
Oh yeah, and Oliver is such a great guy.
Oh my God, super nice guy.
Yeah, super nice. United's got some great cigars, and I kind of like how they've like separated themselves. Obviously, from Two Guys Cigar, Dave Garofalo, obviously all under one umbrella. But he's done a really good job of separating those companies.
Yeah, that was that cigar. I remember when I smoked it, I was like, God dang, this is like. That's got premium tobacco. It had great flavor. Plus, I love the freaking box. I love the ashtray. I mean, everything about that cigar is just fucking great.
Oh, yeah. I got to reach out to Oliver. I'm like, hey, remember you said I'd get an ashtray? I kind of want one of them ashtrays. So
tell me he needs to send two because
that's I don't use the United ashtray I have up there now. So
no, I only use a handful, and the ones like a red hang, that would be one that would be displayed somewhere because it is so freaking cool looking. But man, just a great cigar. Great flavor to it. Now, like I said, another company that when we were there and spent time with them, I was like, man, it was it definitely felt longer than the time we were actually there.
Yeah, there were a couple companies like that, talking with Sarah Rodriguez at West Tampa, I mean, we just love Sarah so much. She's
can't not be happy around her.
I know she's such an amazing human being, and
can't be in a bad mood. Like if you're in a bad mood, go talk to her.
Yeah, and then just did you go back and watch the because you weren't part of the Pete Johnson interview because you were back at the that was a great luckily Tim was just rolling. We had battery issues, everything else. Tim was there. I'm like, Tim, just come over and film this for me. And that was a great interview because we were talking for several minutes about dieting and everything else. And then and I'm like, as we're rolling up, I'm like, just hit record. It's one of those things like when you were like when you walked up for Booth, just hit record. You don't want to wait for anything. You want to record everything, that happens,
Yes.
on those. And thankfully that we did get confirmation that our two humidors, are secured for us, the room 101. Hopefully we get some cool numbers. Matt could not guarantee that I got humidor number 69, but it is what it is. So I have I have faith in my heart of hearts that the universe is going to bless me with humidor number 69 from room 101.
That'd be great. That interview was funny, man. It was like when you just hit record, it was like the first 5 minutes. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's typical Boothie, just a lot of fun. Just he's just having way too much fun.
He is. He's
he comes to that booth, he's like, I need humidification. I need moisture.
Yeah. I need the I forget what he called it. I need the packs or something. Whatever.
But he came over. He's like, you're like, what do you need? He goes, I need moisture. I need humidification.
Yeah.
Like what?
So, but yeah, digging through somebody else's booth, and I told Omar, I'm like, hey, Matt's going to come over here. He stole some. He's like, I don't care. So,
I know, right?
But yeah, it's another great guy, Omar Fernandez with
oh
my God, Kerr, what's the name of the
humidity packs?
What is the name of that? Oh my God, I'm going to it's going to irritate me now. Integra Boost. Integra Boost. And Omar's been so nice, so generous to us over the years. And I know when we came out with the Grace O'Malley, I reached out to Omar, and that project was just an overrun with all the companies that we dealt with, and I needed humidipacks for each one that I created, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, I need a good deal on these, Omar. Like this project is just costing me a fortune. He's like, it's on me. Just sent me a humidipack for each one.
Nice.
Done. Just another one of those guys that just will bend over backwards for you. And I am now an Integra Boost guy. It's the only thing that I'll buy. It's the only thing I'll ship my cigars in. Just one of those, just one of those companies.
Yeah,
he's a good person, and like I said, I am now an Integra Boost guy.
A good product too. I like his little travel humidor with the like that takes the Integra pack.
I know that's a great little, and it's got the hygrometer built in.
Yeah, that was super cool. I mean, I was a big fan of that. I mean, he's a super nice guy. But yeah, I mean, I have not smoked yet the Mr. Sinistro. I did have.
Yeah, I know you're waiting for that one. Yeah,
I know, man. The NV was really good. I thought, it was really funny for me is meeting James in person for the first time, and also because he was like another like didn't recognize me at first. And then when he did, he's like, whoa, like
yeah.
I was like, James. He's like, what? He saw the name. He's like, oh shit. I was like, yeah, we've FaceTimed and we've done plenty of on video stuff, but
so sometimes you can't, you never place somebody when you only deal with them.
Like, I don't have that memorable long beard like you.
So earlier we had on. I don't know if John Reamer is still on. I didn't recognize John. I've been on dozens of herfs with John over the years, and then when we met up with him at the Camacho, event, it took me to look at his name tag, and then I'm like, oh, just you don't, when you see someone's face in a box on a computer, and then when you see their whole body, it just sometimes it doesn't click. Sometimes it's the voice,
Yeah.
like you'll be in a room of people, like in an event like that, and you'll be like, I know that voice, and then you're like trying to scan the crowd, like who's making that sound, that I recognize from the herf.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of years and years ago. I was heading over to Smoke on the Water here in Florida, and our good buddy, I can't think of his name now. He's super long last name, but I call it and I can't find the place. Cannot find the place at all. And I'm like, hey, I'm in this parking lot. Like, where are? And it's a giant plaza, and they're tucked all the way in the back, in a standalone building. And he goes, "Is this Kevin from Cigar Prop?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Oh, I've seen all your videos. I know your voice." So yeah, Larry Pangalangalang. So,
there you go.
But yeah, so yeah, you hear a voice, and you're just like, I know that voice.
Yeah.
Which body is that sound coming out of? So yeah, James.
That reaction was fucking priceless. That and Lee Mack, when I hugged Lee Mack, he was like looking at me like, "Who the hell are you hugging me?"
Yeah, yeah. But I was talking with James today. We've got the next round of the Real Good Trash coming out.
Good.
So we mixed it. We mixed it up. We're doing a 7x60 Maduro this time for the Real Good Trash. And now that I say that to you, Kerr,
7x60 is a lot of cigar, bro.
It's also a lot of cigar for my band. I'm hoping my band fits.
I told you when I was going for a bigger ring gauge, I went and looked at cigars, and I realized that my cigar band, this thing here, is a 56 ring gauge. That is its max. That is the freaking no, like holding on to 50. If it was 56 and a freaking sliver.
It's because we were talking, because we got the tariffs coming, we got cigar prices increasing, and I'm like, you know what, let's he's got some like a special blend that he did, and he didn't know if he was going to do anything with it, and I'm like, you know what, I trust your palate, I trust what you do. I'm like, I'll take it, but now I'm curious if my cigar band is going to fit.
If your cigar band is 3 inches or less.
I'm gonna go grab that band.
So while Kevin goes and gets his cigar band, this is the moment where you have that aha moment. And sometimes it happens it happens late in the game, or sometimes it happens like right now live on the show, that aha moment. But
we never thought about it. So I've got it's exactly 3 inches.
Well, Kevin, I would advise you next to pull out this thing called the cigar propometer and go into your humidor and get a 6x60 and put that around a 60 ring gauge and see what it's going to happen. That's when Rex from Boda Cigars was talking about, me coming out with a Robusto, he kept talking about wanting a bigger ring gauge. And I said, well, hold on for a second. And I walked in and I got a 56 and I got a 60. And I pulled the cigar band. I had one of my cigar bands and I wrapped it around. And I said, how's a 6x56 sounds? He goes, perfect, because you ain't getting a 60 ring gauge. That bitch ain't fitting around there.
Oh my God. I think because my cigar bands are in a package right now, getting ready to head to the DR tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
I don't have a 60 in here. I got a bunch of 6x56s, but I can tell you on a 56 ring gauge, Kev, this is let's see. This is a 56, right? And that's where
I'm trying to think of what I have. Let me take a peek real quick, see if I have a 60 off.
You got to have a 60 ring gauge around there, Kevin. You got 5,000 cigars you were just bragging about. It ain't gonna work. You're gonna have to get an adapter. Can you get an adapter band, Kev? You have to get like a connector. Because I can tell you right now. Hey,
right,
Kevin, that's 3 inches in width. Look at that. Watch. Peekaboo.
So I have a Saka. It's not going to fit.
No, a 7x60. That's a. May I advise you to just get a like a body cigar band to wrap around it instead of a cigar band. Just have like a full one going around it, like the, you know what I'm saying?
No, what do you say?
The hell, Kevin. You're making me work harder with my words today, and my vocabulary is very limited. Like you see some of the cigars. I think like Cigar Clown did it. Ezra Zion has done it. The bigger band that actually covers the cigar, where it's not really a cigar band, it's just a wrap around it, probably about good 3 inches and around. You could do something like that for the 60, and get them printed off in sheets and do it that way. Because your cigar bands, you're probably going to need 3.5 inches.
Yeah.
In order to go around that 60, that 60 ring gauge. But yeah. When you said it's 3 inches exactly, I remembered. I was like, that literally, it's like that is, I remember just having just about this much left. And I remember sending Chris the picture, and I'm like, can you make this cigar band fit on a 56? He goes, yep, we can get it done. I was like, okie dokie. That's the limit of my cigar bands, 56.
So, all right, I'm going to message James here, and
James,
luckily, yeah. I mean, I think in that special cigar he had done a couple of sizes. So, I may have to see what he can do to get that band
buddy.
on.
A true 56, not a fat 56, a true 56 that'll fit. Yeah.
So he may have to put another band on it first. I don't know. Have to do something.
A double bander.
A double bander or something. I don't know.
Is he putting the bands on for you?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah. That's,
yeah. The cigar. I put them in the mail, so they'll be going out tomorrow for him. So.
Yeah.
All right. Now I got. Luckily, he's in California, so he's still awake. So I think James. The James he's talking about at Harrisburg Beer and Wine. James, Black Lion Luxuries, James.
Yeah. Not James.
So. All right. Well, so I think
that's the show. You got to call James. He goes, "Hey James, I got a question for you. Remember that 7x56 we talked about?"
Yeah.
What do you mean, man? We talked about 7x60. No, I don't remember 60.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like me at all.
Nothing like me, James.
Yeah. So maybe he can or he can produce new bands for me. I don't know. We'll figure it out now. So
get the expander.
Yeah. All right. All right, everybody. We'll be back next Monday night. Another Puff and Ponder podcast. Thanks for everybody for joining in. And Kerr, any final thoughts, questions, comments, concerns?
No, I know we talked about. I got to reach out to Duncan Ramon Echevarria. We can have Duncan on. He'd like to join us one night and just
Yep.
He's kind of stepped back in the cigar area. Plus, as our topics range from sports to everything else, Duncan is also an interesting character when you start having conversations outside of the cigar business.
Yeah. And any Monday he's free. Doesn't make any difference. So we're good. Thanks for joining us again, Adam. So, all right, everybody, we'll see everybody next week.